So I have a pretty big problem in passing up little blind box things. So I just got this Batman Mashable. So let's see what character we got. And it's the Riddler we got. Hey, what is up, Internet? This is Kyle with Slapshot Toys doing another issue of the Pool List. Today we actually are going to take a look again at 3 books as well as our Spotlight Book of the Week. From DC Comics, we have AllStar Batman number 13. From Marvel Comics, we have Peter Parker, the Spectacular Spider-Man number 3. From Image Comics, we have Spawn 277. Our Spotlight book is actually going to be an entire series. That is Unfollow from Vertigo Comics. First up, we're going to take a look at AllStar Batman number 13. Now, I'm not going to go into too much depth because this is a very kind of involved storyline that's been going all the way since issue number 1, and the series is actually ending on issue number 14. So this is the second to last issue, which really sucks because this is a phenomenal book. But really what this arc is actually dealing with is showing the relationship between Batman and Alfred, giving us a little bit of a look into Alfred's past and kind of what his thoughts are on Bruce being Batman. And this is just an unbelievably emotional and fantastic issue. The action sequences are fantastic. The art is phenomenal. The way that they actually really show the dynamic between Alfred and Batman is wonderful. I got a little bit emotional reading it. It's just fantastically written. This is the best Batman book out there right now, in my opinion. Scott Snyder has absolutely been killing it with this book, and I'm really sad to see it go. I have seen a couple interviews where Scott says they are actually talking with him to continue All-Star Batman because he's got a lot more ideas. It's actually going to be in what they are calling a prestige format. DC really hasn't given too many details on what exactly it means, but it sounds like it's going to be a trade rather than a monthly issue, so they're going to basically just do a full arc and release it quarterly. That's kind of what the interviews have sounded like, which actually this book probably reads a lot better in trade format because there is so many little details that happen issue to issue, and the entire series has run together. So it may not be a bad idea, but it really sucks not getting those single issues because I absolutely love getting this every month. It's such a phenomenal book. So if you're into Batman, try to find the trades or the single issues. There's only 13 of them right now. This is one book, if you're a Batman fan, you cannot miss, and this issue especially, phenomenal. Next up, we're going to take a look at the Spectacular Spider-Man number 3. Now, this is the newest Spider-Man series from Marvel Comics, written by Chip Zdarsky and art by Adam Kubert. Now, this series is a little bit more of a classic, kind of lighthearted take on Spider-Man, whereas I've told you my previous issues of the Pool List, Dan Slott's current Amazing Spider-Man run kind of has the character more of a Tony Stark-esque multi-billionaire CEO of a corporation with all sorts of gadgets. This series actually takes Spider-Man back to his roots, or at least that's my opinion of the series, where we get a little bit more of a New York-only basic Spider-Man with all the little one-liners and everything we love about the classic tales of Spider-Man. Just puts it in a more modern setting. So what's been going on here, Spider-Man has been tracking down some of these little low-level criminals that all have these Stark tech phones that are all untraceable and unhackable. So last couple issues, he's been trying to figure out who is behind equipping all these criminals with these very sophisticated phones. He finds out last issue that it was Kingpin. So this issue, he actually just goes ahead and confronts Kingpin. I've really enjoyed this series for its use of humor. I think Chip Zdarsky, if you've been reading his Image book, Sex Criminals, you know his style of humor fits very well into Peter Parker's kind of one-liners, very kind of quippy type humor, very witty. And the first 2 issues really showcase that. This issue, I'm a little bit afraid that he's trying too hard with it. The jokes, 90% of them in this book did not land. There was one about every panel. The other thing I didn't really care about this issue was it was extremely wordy. In no way am I against extremely wordy books. Just in this specific issue, all the dialogue is just repeating what we already know. Basically, Spider-Man just sitting there on a rooftop saying, well, I'm going to confront Kingpin because of this, this, and this. 2 pages later, I'm going to confront Kingpin because of this, this, and this. It just felt like we kept repeating the same information over and over and over. It was just a little bit of a hard issue to get through. And I'm still very into this story. I just thought this issue missed the mark just a little bit. So hopefully, with how good the first 2 were, every series is gonna have a down issue here and there. Not a big deal. So I'm very excited to see where this is going forward. But yeah, if you're a Spider-Man fan, this is definitely a book you should be at least trying to check out. Next up from Image Comics, we have Spawn 277, written by Dara Savage and Jason Sean Alexander. who also is on art duties. So Spawn actually is one of my all-time favorite characters. It is one of the reasons why I got into comics as a kid. I'm currently trying to piece together the entire single issue run, and it's one of those books, no matter how bad it gets, I still buy it. So kind of get you guys caught up just a little bit, we had the Satan War saga where Spawn, or Al, whatever you want to call him, was able to close the gate between heaven and hell and earth. But what ended up happening was he gave up all but just a little sliver of his Hellspawn suit. So what that's done is basically take away most of his powers. So he spent the last couple arcs trying to get those back, which he has now done. And during that time, we find out that Wanda, Al's ex-wife, when he died and became Spawn, her daughter Cyan actually had powers of her own to protect her from the demons that had been stuck on Earth when the gate closed. Spawn has actually sent Cyan to live in Japan, only to find out that when he obviously goes over there to visit her, that there's this demonic group that is actually taking out all the Japanese mob bosses, and so he goes over to hunt them and try to keep Cyan safe. And this is just true classic Spawn, and it's absolutely brilliant. I'm so happy to have this kind of character back. It kind of sucks that it took Todd McFarlane getting off the book to get some really, really good Spawn stories, but that's what it seems like is starting to happen. And this issue is just fantastic. So it's just, this issue is more of Spawn just getting closer and closer to this demonic group that is in Japan, and they are starting to realize that Spawn is hunting them as well. And what follows is just some fantastic action pieces. The art in this is just dark, it's violent, it's gritty, it's Spawn. And it's just, if you've ever been a Spawn fan, if you've gotten kind of tired of some of the stuff that Todd McFarlane has been doing with Spawn recently, I would definitely try to check out this book. We're only 2 issues into this brand new arc. You really don't need to read anything previous to be able to get into this new dark horror, I think is what they're calling it, storyline. So if you can find these 2 issues, make sure you do. If you have any interest in Spawn, if you want to get back into him, if you want to discover the character for the first time, it is that damn good. And that brings us to our Spotlight book, or this week, series. And we're going to be taking a look from Vertigo Comics, Unfollow. Now this is written by Rob Williams, but there's actually like 6 different artists and colorists. So Unfollow actually tells a story of a group of people who pretty much win the lottery. There's a social network inventor named Larry Farrell who actually invented something called Chipper, basically a play on Twitter, who is dying of cancer and has decided that I think it's $18 billion of his money, once he passes away, he is going to distribute evenly among 140 of his social network users. So all these winners are notified through his social media that they're going to be flown out to his private island where they'll receive his money. The only catch is, if any of the 140 die, that their share then get redistributed evenly among the remaining members. So what follows is kind of this social experiment that this Larry Farrell really wants to kind of show the world, is just how good or evil can people actually be. And I absolutely found this story just enthralling. And then one thing I really love is kind of looking at the entire series as a whole. So we have this group of people that, you know, have the payday of their lives. All of a sudden, you know, they get this message on this chipper, which is essentially Twitter, saying that, you know, they've won, and it's just unreal. And you see like just the joy and just how much it changes their lives instantly. If people wanting to come around, get money, those type of things, and it's you know, very joyful. And then as they find out the rules to this, and as they're stuck on this private island, everything really starts to change. And then by volume 2, basically the whole island just collapses. Everybody is sent back home, and then things get even crazier as the entire world is out to try to get some of this money. And it's an insane book. It tackles some really, really, really extremely tough issues that I don't think a lot of comics are willing to go to, much like, since the whole thing is based on social media. So there's just kind of a lot of points that really stuck with me, thinking about how much time that we really spend at our social media. Like, how much do we actually get our news from Twitter, where it's, you know, not the full story, it's just one quick passing of a headline, and it gets everybody just so extremely riled up. And not only that, but the way we just put our faith, and then just how much we look to the internet for all of our information, how we look to just like these figures, whether it be like religious or CEOs or just, you know, celebrities, for all of our information. And this book really just kind of, it almost challenged me in a lot of ways. How much time we use our phones, how much time we're always looking down at that screen and missing so much in the world around us. And I just thought that was an absolutely brilliant kind of challenge that this book gives you. And not only that, but I mean, just the book itself. Like, so you see the characters, like I said at the beginning, so full of joy, so excited, and then you just see them change little by little as basically all these events in these books just make them a little bit more hardened and a little bit more kind of almost becoming predators to just survive. And it's just a very interesting kind of look at what something like this, how it would start to change people. And it's just a fantastic book. And the only kind of gripes, and they are minor, of this book that I really didn't care for. One was there are so many artists, and I'm sure they did that because to make sure they met deadlines and make sure they get the book out. But there are so many artists that there are times where from issue to issue it will change either artist or colorist, and that's a little bit jarring. You really kind of get used to one art style, and then all of a sudden it changes. That took me out of the story just a real little bit. And then the only other thing, for as crazy as the story is, this book feels very grounded and feels like it could actually happen. But there are a couple action sequences that they threw in the book that really took me out of that sense of reality. There's this one sequence in particular where basically an Army, Naval, Air Force just completely bombs this little village where a bunch of the main characters are actually at. That just felt way too over the top to me. It really took me out of kind of, once again, like that real grounded feeling that I had with this book. And it made for an exciting read. It made for an exciting action sequence, but it didn't feel realistic. It didn't fit with the rest of the tone of the book that had felt so lifelike for so long for the previous volume. But other than those little gripes, like I said, this is a phenomenal book. But even with those gripes, this is still a phenomenal book. I loved every second of it. If you're into like the psychological thrillers, this is definitely something I would pick up. Vertigo sometimes does really nice hardcovers that usually have 2 or 3 trades in them, so it'd be kind of cool if they did a hardcover complete version of this since there's only 3 trades. So it'd be interesting to see what they do. But if you're wanting to get this now, you can get it on Amazon fairly cheaply. But this is a fantastic book. I highly recommend it, especially if you're into thrillers and those type of things. This is a wonderful book. Rob Williams does a fantastic job getting his points across. So make sure you guys go ahead and check out Unfollow's volumes 1 through 3. So that is going to do it for this issue of the Pull List. I want to thank you guys so much for checking out these videos. If you guys like this video, make sure you guys go ahead and hit that like button. Let me know in the comments if you guys have read any of these books, if you read Unfollow, any of the single issues, and also let me know if there is any sort of books you would like to see me review. I'm always looking for something new to read. I got quite a few trades already lined up. I would love to give something that you recommend a try. So let me know in the comments if there's anything that you guys are reading. Love to talk comics with you. Make sure you guys go ahead and subscribe. That way you guys don't miss out on any of the future content. Have a couple more pop reviews. Should have 2 more hot toy reviews here in the next month and a half. And I'm also gonna have a special edition Cincinnati Comic Expo video that I'll be posting as soon as that con happens, which is at the end of September. So yeah, it's gonna be a fun time. So make sure you guys subscribe. Don't miss out on any of that. And once again, that's gonna do it for me. Thank you guys so much. I'll check you guys later. See ya.